CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Havana calling. CQDX, CQDX, CQDX. This is Radio Havana calling all shortwave listeners and radio amateurs. Welcome to... DXers Unlimited, Radio Havana's weekly feature dedicated to the fascinating world of radio communications.
Hi, mis amigos radio aficionados all around the world. Welcome. You are now listening to our middle of the week edition of DXers Unlimited, coming to you from sunny, beautiful La Habana, Cuba. I'm your host, Arnaldo Arnicoro, Radio Amateur CO2KK. That's my ham radio call sign. Charlie Oscar 2 Kilo Kilo. And as always, it's my pleasure to share with you about 10 or maybe 11 minutes of all Radio Havana related information and updates. Here's now item 1. After a lot of work by our transmitter and antenna engineers, we are now on the air using the B17 ITU registered transmission schedule. All our operating frequencies with a full set of parameters are registered with the International Telecommunications Union directly to the Geneva, Switzerland headquarters, and not by means of intermediate or proxy groups of stations. We go direct to the ITU. For the English language programs beamed to North America, the most significant frequencies for nighttime reception are 6,000 kHz to the East Coast and 6,165 kHz to Central North America during the time period from 01 to 05 hours UTC. And then we add 6,100 kHz for coverage to Western North America from 05 to 10 hours UTC. Of course, we're now interested in receiving the reports of the 49 milliband frequencies, as well as those reports of the 60 meters band, 5,040 kHz frequency that seems to be doing very well according to recent reports received here. And by the way, the most recent Royal Observatory of Belgium compilation of the solar activity during the past 3 months shows the activity of the sun is going down. A trend that is clearly telling us the very weak solar cycle 24 is now on its final stretch after the second and highest usual peak happened. More about the solar cycle and the expected increase in use of the lower frequency international broadcast bands on shortwave a little later, as the middle of the week edition of the DXers Unlimited continues in a few seconds after a short break for station ID. I'm Arnicoro, CO2KK in La Habana, Cuba. This is Radio Havana Cuba, that's the station ID. The name of the show is DXers Unlimited, that's the name of the program, and here is now item 2. Cuban radio amateurs continue to prepare themselves for future hurricane seasons, as this one that began on the first day of June and came to an end just a few days ago, November the 13th, proved to be the most active in quite a long time for the country of Cuba and for the rest of the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. We had to activate our amateur band savages in it many times and keep them running for days and days after Hurricane Irma swept the big island of Cuba from east to west. It caused severe damages to the nation's infrastructure that are still under reconstruction. We also had the ability to provide possible alternative emergency communications relays to other Caribbean nations and had to deal with super powerful Hurricane Maria, was the case of Dominica and Puerto Rico. The 2007, also Antigua and Barbuda also. This 2017 hurricane season storm did produce extensive damages in the small islands of the Caribbean, including Dominica, and caused the worst ever damages for Puerto Rico in a very long time. The fact is that Superstorm Hurricane Sandy of 2012 was without any doubt the worst ever for the eastern part of the island since 1963, when Hurricane Flora hovered over the eastern provinces for 5 consecutive days. Hurricane Sandy developed very fast as it moved towards Cuba from Jamaica. The short distance from Jamaica to Cuba, it gained a lot of strength. That was Sandy 2012. At that time, 5 years ago, Cuban radio amateurs used all the available radios and antennas to pass along, as usual, vitally important weather reports, alerting about the flood stage levels of reservoirs and the state of the dam, as well as passing along latest health and welfare traffic needed by the population. The 2 meters band FM was once again this year put to very good use for linking up shelters, hospitals, power plants, and rescue teams, while the 40 meters band, the 7 MHz assignment, provided the required weather data to the National Civil Defense Command Post in Havana and also to the Cuban Weather Institute, Instituto de Meteorología. The 2 two main problems that the radio amateurs participating in the huge nationwide emergency communications efforts during this year, 2017 Hurricane Irma event, were how to keep their stations provided with electricity, be it from batteries or any type, or from standby generators, and also how to keep the antennas up when at some locations the wind gusts exceeded the 250 miles per hour speed during the most intense gusts. I say that again because it's hard to believe. 250 miles per hour speed of the wind gust. According to the most recent compilation of the amateur radio emergency net performance, it was quite clear that when the regular communication lines and services like the cell phones failed due to excessive traffic or breakdowns that include the damages to towers all along the path of the hurricane, the amateur service was there to provide much needed standby emergency communications. But in another example of how well-prepared, trained amateur radio operators can provide alternative communications to keep the information moving, even in the most difficult and challenging circumstances, it happened again this year, 2017. The Cuban Radio Amateur Federation did a tremendously good job, and it was recognized by the national authorities as well as by international organizations like the International Amateur Radio Union. And by the way, one alternative energy source put to very good use by the radio amateurs that have taken part in recent emergency drills and also actual emergencies during the rescue efforts was obtained by just removing the gel cell accumulators of batteries found inside the computer power pack units, the backup units, UPS. These are 12-volt batteries with a usual current capacity when new of about 7 ampere hours, provided to be quite useful for powering up the handheld 2-meter band FM handy-talkies connected to external antennas. Prior to the arrival of a storm, many apps charged the computer backup units, the UPSs, to the maximum possible charge. And then, when the AC power went off, when the hurricane was coming in, due to the high winds, they removed a few screws and nuts and proceeded to remove the batteries and connect them to the FM meters, the FM 2-meter band radios, so that they will have power for such a long time, much longer time than with the typical backpack batteries used by the handy-talkies. By the way, one thing they did was not to do a direct connection from the gel cell 12-volt battery to the radio. In a very wise move, they placed a silicon power diode of enough current in series with the battery so that just in case the battery was connected in reverse with the wrong polarity, no damages would be done to the radios because of the protection of the diode. More about how to handle emergency communications when a natural disaster is approaching or already happening in an upcoming special edition of DXers Unlimited that will be dedicated exclusively to that topic. And at the end of this very active 2017 hurricane season, the tropics have settled down as we move into the winter season now. That I'm still sure will be very helpful to our listeners that are also radio amateur operators to keep getting ready just in case another weather event happens. And now, item 4. Several well-known heliophysicists, that's a fancy name for solar experts, are now confirming their forecast about the already in progress general downward trend in solar activity of cycle 24. A tendency confirmed when the data for the past 6 months was finally compiled, showing a much lower average number of sunspots than the figure registered for previous 5 solar cycles with the same number of months of evolution of the cycles had elapsed. Since the year 1906, beginning of the 20th century, the sun has not been so quiet, and forecasters are telling us that the next 2 or even 3 upcoming solar cycles are going to be even worse. They say that this stage of extremely low solar activity will probably last for at least 30 to 40 years, maybe more, before the sun again picks up and increases its activity. So, amigos, draw your own conclusions and get set for the extended period forecast of very low solar activity by installing, if possible, antennas for the lower frequency band and starting to familiarize yourself with signal digital communications modes now available. And now, a reminder, at the end of the show, our English language programs to Central North America are best heard on 6,165 kHz. Again, the frequency 6165 kHz again on the 40-meter band. And we are also broadcasting our English service on 5,040 kHz at different times of the evening. Before going to a theme that is ending our program, here's a short point propagation update and forecast. Solar sunspot activity practically zero, showing the daily solar flux at 2,800 MHz, holding between 70 and 75 units, as the blank sound takes its toll on high-frequency, long-distance propagation. Very poor daytime maximum usable frequencies, and the nighttime maximum usable frequency drops abruptly just after local sunset. I request you to send your signal reports about our new frequencies to info.rhc@enet.cu or via airmail to Arnicoro, Radio Havana Cuba, and we'll see you at the upcoming weekend edition of DXers Unlimited next Sunday and Monday UTC days. Until then, amigos.
And that's all for today. This is Arnicoro, Radio Amateur CO2KK, your host here at Radio Havana's DXers Unlimited, saying 73 and very good DX.
Thanks, Arnie Corro with DXers Unlimited, heard every week here on Radio Havana Cuba.